Know this. Introducing the original blood clot podcast, not players. Soothing Semantics. Special dedication all the way from New York. Boom. Yeah, man. SOOT Semantics. Yeah, me know. Boom. Soothing Semantics. Yeah, me know. Big ups to the man now. Soothing Semantics.
Welcome to another episode of Soothing Semantics. I am your host, Rafi Pinsky. Make sure to subscribe, like, leave your comments, good or bad. We welcome them all. Today we have a mother and son duo who've been blowing up quite a lot lately in the past month. You guys just started the channel pretty recently.
Yeah, only a month and a half ago.
Crazy, man. Yeah, you know what you're doing, man. So we have Sonny and can we do the name or you sure?
Elena.
Okay, and Elena on
Sonny's
the show.
Mom. Yeah.
The base mom.
Yeah, I saw the Instagram, by the way. That's funny.
Yeah, how crazy is that? A month and a half into YouTube.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I really understand the full depth of Tate talking about us because he's new to me and I've never really been starstruck by anybody before. But I understand that he's a big deal to a lot of these young men out there. So it's pretty cool.
It's very interesting. Yeah, I mean, a lot of what he says is definitely very controversial. I would say, a lot more people like him than don't like him, but the people that don't like him are obviously very loud and very noisy. So he's brash, and I understand that he says things in a way where people aren't exactly on board. I would say it's probably more women than guys, and the guys that don't like him are men that can't accept the fact that he's saying things that are very true a lot of the time.
Yeah. What bothers me so you started by saying the things that he says are very controversial. It bothers me that this is even controversial.
Right.
Everything has become so inflamed. Every conversation has to be, you have to have a really, really strong feeling for it or against it, or you're uneducated, or, you're not paying attention. And what he's saying isn't that controversial. Like there's a way to live that he's choosing, that he's talking about, and people are going to be attracted to that, and nobody's getting hurt by it. So where's the controversy? But again, we're in this new cultural climate, where we're just making a controversy out of literally everything. It's exhausting. I didn't grow up with this.
It's crazy, right? Do you kind of wish you could go back to the 60s, 70s, 80s? It's wild, right?
60s, Jesus, kid. No, I wasn't there for the 60s, but thanks. Yeah. I was born in the 70s. So, So, I do. I wish everything was back to the simplicity. And I even read somewhere that, and I think this started with chip shortages, that people are going and buying what they're calling dumb appliances. I don't know how big of a trend this is, but I read a whole article about it. And because they just want something in their life to be simple again. They don't need to have an app to look inside their refrigerator while they're at the supermarket. It's not that important. So I really am kind of moving in that direction myself. But yet I'm being pulled into the online world more and more. So it's kind of for me, I need to really be stepping out and laying on the couch with an actual paper book to unwind from this.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
I completely understand. I mean, we're getting deeper and deeper into the social media rabbit hole, and it's only going to get more intense. So in terms of him not being controversial, I mean, I hear that. At the same time, there's such a little gray area nowadays. Like you said, it's either one side or the other side.
Yeah.
All about people's feelings.
Yeah. Like nobody cares about your feelings. And I don't mean that we should be going around hurting people, but if you don't like something, just step away. We used to say when I was a kid, if I got upset by something, the adults would say, well, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. It was that simple. Okay. And then you would sit there and you go, the kitchen is interesting. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to take the heat, or I'm going to leave,
Right,
and it was a great metaphor.
How you build problem solving skills.
That's how you build a little bit of a skin too. So everybody just wants, I don't like that. So the whole world needs to change so that I feel comfortable. It's just foolishness. And most of it is kids, like young people, 18, 16 to 25-year-olds screaming in the streets. Your brain's not even developed and you want us all to conform to your way of living and thinking. Get lost.
It's not their way of living and thinking. It's what's portrayed onto them and what they've been convinced to believe.
100%. That's what's so bad about college nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Such indoctrination. It's crazy.
They'll go in with somewhat of a free mind and come out fully indoctrinated.
Well, now it's starting in kindergarten in the big cities.
Yeah, it's insane.
The indoctrination
from everything from going to school to your kids' shows. It's pretty clear the agenda they're trying to push onto people.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot easier to push agendas and make money for a small percentage of the population, call them the elites, to make money, when everyone else is completely unaware of what's going on. It's very easy to control a group of people. So, and that's what bothers people about Tate so much. And he just says things that are to me and both of you guys so obvious and so clear, but to everyone else, there's the shock factor. Like, I cannot believe he said such a logical thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's crazy. And another thing that they don't consider is a lot of what he says is for marketing too. So he'll say something in a more like extraordinary manner so that it gets more clicks and whatnot. But that ultimately backfired on them, because saying stuff like that, they would clip it out of context, and that's pretty much what got him canceled.
I disagree. I don't think it backfired on him. I think they've now
backfired. That's what got him canceled.
Right, but his cancellation has made him even bigger than he was before.
You guys have said this too. Yeah, you guys were saying this too in one of the videos I watched. He's only going to become bigger now. Yeah, he'll single-handedly take Rumble to insane height. I mean, I've never even heard of this app in my life, but now.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Neither have I.
I know. I've been telling him about it. So the thing, we're all just hoping that Rumble, really invests whatever they're making now and making the technology, bringing the technology up to speed, because YouTube is just a cooler app as far as the user experience goes. So Rumble's got to just get out of the 1999 a little bit, but they're going to get there, because now they're going to have more users and more revenue. So I'm very excited about that.
It's true.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Go
on.
This whole Tate controversy, as much as it aggravates me that we're living in this silly culture of feelings and cancellation, it gives me a lot of hope, because for a long time now, we've all known that, here in the little black box in our hand, we have the world's knowledge at our fingertips. Anything on earth you want to learn, you can learn on the internet. And we've, spent the last 20 years just becoming foolish consumers of entertainment, as a society, right? I'll speak for American society and even abroad, but I think now he's coming out and making it more mainstream to say, think for yourself, stop this, start thinking. And it's given me hope. And the more they cancel him, the more people are going to step up and say, no, this is the way to go. We're going to learn, we're going to think for ourselves. And it's very disturbing to the people at the top, because the government runs the social media channels. 100%.
I mean, he's getting men to think again. He's getting men to take their balls from wherever they were hiding and put them back on the table, and it's important, because there's men nowadays are it's insane. They're so lazy. They're so soft, and it's
like what you just told us about yourself. You went to the Israeli army, you came back, you've been working probably since you were 10 years old. I know I was. And you just now to look at your cohorts and your generation must be gross.
It's pretty sad. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty sad. But I'm very lucky. I had a very tough grandmother, tough Brooklyn grandmother. When I used to fall on my ass, she used to say, get up.
A Jewish Brooklyn grandmother? Yeah.
Wash yourself off.
Yeah. You're
wash
not
it off.
soft.
Come on, Rafi. Wash it off. Put a Band-Aid on. You know what I mean?
Same as an Italian grandma. Same word, Irish grandma. Yeah.
It's so similar.
Yeah.
And I
guilt and hard love.
Right? The family values. I recently met my Italian family. So I love them. They're amazing. My aunt is very similar to my grandmother. It's very funny. So
they're fully Italian? Like in Italy?
They have a little bit of a mix, but mostly.
Wow, that's awesome.
They're in Staten Island and
Staten Island Italians.
Bensonhurst, yeah.
Good. No matter where you go, you're eating good.
Right?
You're eating at the Jewish family or the Italian family. The food's fantastic.
New York Italians are like their own breed of Italians.
You think?
I'd say so.
Where are you guys now? You guys said New York, right?
We're in Jersey at the moment.
Cool,
So
okay.
we're in the process of moving from Boston to Florida.
Fair enough. But you said Orlando. Sonny, you said Orlando, right?
Yeah, so we're moving down to Orlando next month, but we're just staying with my grandma for the month to grind out content and stuff.
We're not really, okay.
Or, I mean, Melbourne. I just
Yeah,
say
but-
Orlando.
But it's not Orlando, so we're going to the coast, Melbourne, actually. Orlando's like dead smack in the middle of the state, and I don't want to be living in Orlando, saying we're living in Orlando when we're not.
Well, a town and a half hour away from Orlando.
Okay, but you guys are all settled with a realtor, property, all that? Because I know some great realtors there.
Yeah, no, we're actually renting for the first couple of years until we decide exactly where we want to land. So my mother's in Melbourne, but we'll give you a call. You're the only realtor we know down there now, so
Yeah,
You're
for
our
sure.
realtor.
I'm happy to help you guys. I'm much more down south, but I know an excellent realtor in Orlando. He actually has a big YouTube channel. He is everything Orlando. Ken Posek, you guys can check him out.
all right.
I'll send you his info. So no Bucharest. You guys aren't moving to Romania. I'm getting a house next to Tate.
Well,
Not
maybe
quite
after
yet.
we get canceled. Yeah.
Just go to Transylvania.
Yeah, I'll have to look up what summers in Bucharest are like. I've thrown away all my winter clothes. I'm done with winter.
I could not agree more. I love when people tell me about the seasons. It's like, all right, listen, I'll travel there for a week. I'll deal with the bullshit. I'm not going to live there.
Yeah.
What do you think of those people that say that they genuinely enjoy the cold and they like?
I think they're full of
seasons?
shit is what I
That's
think.
that's what I say too. Like some of my friends from home, they justify staying there all year. Like I like the cold in the seasons. I'm like, how do you like the cold?
Well, some people like winter sports. They're skiers and hockey players and whatever else
That's
you do
fair.
outside.
That's
I
like the
wouldn't
only
do.
fair point I could think of.
Yeah, but you
Like
can
ski.
travel there. I mean, you can still take a 2-week trip to Colorado or whatever, or Vermont or whatever it is.
Go skiing and then
But
come
hey,
back to Miami. Yeah.
Whatever people like, So Sonny, we're definitely going to talk about Tate and all that, but what's a bit of your background in terms of marketing? Because I saw you wrote, 5 million in revenue. So aside from the Tate videos, aside from the content.
Yeah, that's only like the newer stuff that people have seen in me. So I got into social media marketing just over 2 years ago, pretty much at the start of COVID. It was when I'm just blanking right now.
Well, you started your TikTok channel, really.
Yeah, so I started like my entrepreneur. So for marketing, I specialize in TikTok and social media marketing, and I got into it about 2 years ago at the start of COVID. It was kind of at the start of my entrepreneurial journey. So I was researching like how to make money online, all that kind of stuff. So I was watching bigger guys like Grant Cardone. I'm sure you know who that is. Bia Hiza, all those big finance YouTubers.
Grant lives in my city, actually.
Oh, really? Have you know
Ventura.
him?
I haven't met him yet. I do know people that know him. I'm working on it. I know some people he knows. I'm trying to put it together.
One day you'll get him on the podcast.
I will. I absolutely will. Yes.
Yeah, so I started with all that stuff, just taking notes down in my notebook, and I decided to go the drop shipping route initially. So with drop shipping, I figured I didn't have a lot of money at the time, so I didn't want to spend a lot on ads. I figured the best way to get a lot of views on a product was to start a TikTok channel. So I started this TikTok channel reposting movie clips that started blowing up a little, and then I transitioned it into a stock account, which is if it's the current account I have now. So if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see me posting about stocks and whatnot, and that blew up to, I want to say, 30,000 followers within a week. So instead of transitioning that, it's great. It's crazy with TikTok. This is totally possible.
You have a knack for this, man. You clearly have a knack for this. You have an understanding of this.
Yeah. So
He studies the algorithms and the processes. He takes the time to dig in before he starts.
yeah. So blowing up this first account is when I realized I actually did have a pretty good grip of the algorithm. So instead of transitioning the account to advertising a product for drop shipping, like I was initially going to do, I ended up just sticking the influencer route and continuously building up my brand. The funniest thing is I literally started my account posting about stocks and stuff, and I had zero clue what I was talking about at the time. I was a total idiot. If you go down, it's me like, if you invested at 1 year ago, which it was kind of just more entertaining content because stocks and stuff was trending at the time. So I knew it would do well. But oh my God, I was completely clueless. But I just kept rolling
What
with
were
the
you,
punch.
16, 17?
So,
I mean, he was just a little
yeah,
baby.
like 16. I just kept rolling with the punches, bought a bunch of finance books. And over the course of the few months, I became like the most financially literate person out of all the friends and family that I know, from going from knowing nothing. So a few months in, and I just kept taking notes of the TikTok algorithms. I eventually had like 20 pages of notes full of ways to go viral on TikTok and whatnot. My mom was a talent agent at the time, and she had a client called William Lee Martin, this comedian out of Texas. So I took on his TikTok side of things and blew up his account to 250,000 followers within 2 months?
It's very quick. Yeah. Very fast.
Insane. He started selling out shows. It was wild. From there, I just kept building out my personal brand. And then the NFT stuff came along. I got a marketing job for another NFT project, took that, completely failed, and then started up the Holy NFT TikTok account, which I'm not sure if you've heard of it, if you're on TikTok or anything. But this account went absolutely nuclear. We got around 12 million views in the first 3 videos we posted on this brand new account. So we drove over 10,000 people into our Discord from those views on this completely brand new account. Literally started from nothing. And within a month from that, we sold out $1.2 million of NFTs. So that gives a pretty quick, brief
so this is all Sonny was in his freshman year of college, but he was just spending all of his time on the business and not much time in class.
Yeah.
And, at first his dad and I were, what are you doing? Why aren't you at school? And then he comes home, in November, Thanksgiving of freshman year, and they did $1.2 million in sales on their very first drop. And we were like, okay, just keep going. We'll do this your way.
No. They were pissed about the grades at first, because when you make a big chunk of change, like there's no guarantee that it's going to happen again.
And there were 3 of you, right? Your 2 partners or the 2 other influencers.
Yeah, so it's not like I made $1.2 million, and it's like an NFT thing. So you have to reinvest into the business. It's not like you're just pocketing everything. Right. So, I had like a few $100,000 from it, but they wanted me to continue going to college. And then when we did it again a month and a half later, that's when they were kind of like, all right, maybe this college thing isn't as necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so, it's funny because his dad was like an Eagle Scout. He was always a straight A student, went to college, went to law school, just always had straight A's in everything he ever did. And I did very well in school, and I graduated from college, but I was always teaching him more, you don't have to go to college to be successful. It's really all about your work ethic and your brains. Because my father, my parents had their own business. My mother was a high school graduate. My father never graduated high school, and he was one of the smartest people I ever knew. He just happened to have an attitude problem when he was 17, so it didn't work out in high school, right? So
the same thing.
Yeah. So I've always told him it's really about who you are and your thirst for learning something and being good at it. And so I kind of planted that seed a long time ago unwittingly. I always thought he would go to college anyway, but I'm kind of glad for the path you're on because you're passionate about it. And he used to hate waking up for school every day. So, when the alarm goes off, you got to be happy. You got to be, sometimes you got to be miserable for a little while until you can work to get to that point. But
yeah,
here we are.
And I'm ultimately much more productive working for myself. Like my brain doesn't function with like the Monday to Friday thing. So like the last call we were on some business call, and he's like, it's Wednesday. Are you guys excited? It's hump day. And I'm like, I don't care, bro. I got to work every single day. Like all I do is wake up and work. So the fact that it's Wednesday means nothing to me.
I know. That's right. I was all polite about it.
No.
It's like, yeah, it's almost the
weekend.
Well,
who was saying this? Not a specific name, but what was the context?
It was just like what was it? An agency that we had a call with?
Yeah, like a PR agency that we had a call with was the context, right. And it was just a sales call with one of their account reps.
People are really looking forward to weekends. Weekends are nice, don't get me wrong, but they're dying for it. It's like, Monday, God. It's like, why do you? So many people have that attitude.
It's like such a horrible life.
Yeah, I lived it. I lived it. I worked in big Fortune 100, Fortune 500 advertising. And man, when that alarm clock went off every morning, it was terrible. It was terrible. And nobody was happy there. Maybe 1 in 1,000 people I'd run into. And they were just those weird people that are just happy anyway. Those bubbly kinds. Yeah.
It's big. People like to just like convince themselves that they're totally okay with that. But they also get trapped into it because that's how this whole system's built to get you. You're forced into college, get into debt, and then you got to get a job like that.
And then I made it through several rounds of layoffs at one of those companies, and just watching people leaving crying because somebody else held the strings to their life, and everybody really terrible. I mean, I don't ever want to go back to that. I don't want anybody to ever control my destiny and whether or not I can pay my bills.
They'll can you in a second. They don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah, you're disposable. Yeah, it sucks.
That's
But
the
truth
Matrix.
is, someone's got to, the Matrix, someone's got to do it, though. Someone's got to be the worker, you know? We're always going to need employees. We're always going to need people who aren't willing to take the risks.
That's true.
Yeah.
Everybody
That's
can't.
true. That's why the
everybody
system's
can't
built
be
this
on their
way,
own.
because it
Yeah.
doesn't work without this. It doesn't work without people doing all of it. So that it makes sense that the whole system's built to get workers.
I think it will be more okay if we get financial literacy in this country or across the globe. Financial literacy from kindergarten through 12, instead of all these social bullshit programs that they're putting in place that are just making little robots. Teach people how to be independent. Then when they have a job, they're making better financial decisions, and they're able to build and save and make sure that they're building a nice foundation for long-term wealth in their family. Because you can do that with a job. You can. You don't.
Well, a lot of people don't want that, because there's an element, and you guys know this, there's an element of keeping people poor to make yourself wealthier. You know, if people are spending more, if there are more consumers, that means that people supplying the product are making more money. So I mean, it's always going to help to have people that are financially illiterate.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, it's part of the plan.
That's why you just have to focus on your own family, you know. So it sounds like you've been doing pretty well, Elena.
Trying, thanks.
Not too bad.
The base
For
mother
sure.
killing it.
Right? Andrew seems to really love you guys.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, right?
Hopefully we'll get him on a podcast soon. But my thing is, I'm not doing no Zoom shit. If he says he's down to do a call, I'm booking a flight to Romania like that day. I'm
As
flying.
you should, yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm
For sure.
flying out my camera guy. We're going. There's no time to waste.
We'll show him how fast you can get from the U.S. to Romania, because I'm still got a bone to pick with him about not going to his father's funeral. But you know.
Oh, you're upset about that? It's funny.
Yeah, the very first video that we ever did, he showed the clips of Andrew talking about not going to his father's funeral. And I just, okay, you understand me. Being a nice Brooklyn Jewish Italian boy, you understand, you go to that funeral if you have to crawl over broken glass, you know? And I got really upset, and it really affected my first impression of him. And then as I got to know him more, I was like, all right, I agree on 99 out of 100 things with this guy. So we're good. But I still want to have that conversation with him, like politely. I really would love to debate that with Andrew Tate.
Well, you don't have a lot of years on him, even though you got all salty with the 60s thing. but
I was just shocked by that. I was like, oh my God, I'm having a bad day. Huh? Jeez.
So anyway, but in some funny way, I feel like you see him almost as a son figure, or like a little brother in a way.
I did. I called them, what did I call them? Like babies one
Little
day.
babies. You call Sneeko a little pumpkin.
Oh, I
He
saw
is. He's
that.
like
I just
23.
watched that, by the way. I was cracking up. He was like, oh, really? 8 out of 10? What am I, a cute little pumpkin?
You know, he's just, look at him. He's got a mama's boy face. He's a sweetheart. He's a pumpkin. He's all full of shit on these videos. That kid's at home giving his mama hugs.
I'm all full of shit in my videos.
This is great.
Yeah, I do. I do feel old. I really am numerically not much older than the Tates, but I do feel much older than them.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're still living the bachelor lifestyle. So as much as listen, most guys would love to live that life. I have not lived it to that extent. Definitely not. I've had my fun. But they are living it to the highest level. So to some degree, I think when you've been married and you've had your own kids, it kind of grounds you more. They're still very wild and out there. So I wouldn't say that they're immature, because they're, in many respects, very intelligent people. They're very intelligent guys. But yeah, at the same time, they're still partying hard in their late 30s, which is fine. But, so a good question is, I know a lot of the things you agree with them on. What are some things that you both don't agree with them on?
Well, I know you don't agree with the men can be men don't need to be monogamous, but women do.
Yeah,
I know
totally think
that's your
just
big thing.
ridiculous. It's not exercise, just going out and cheating on your woman. And, and even though I do give him credit for setting it up with the women in his life. This is how it's going to be.
Right.
You're faithful to me. I do whatever the hell I want. They agree to it. That's their problem. I can't imagine that in the long term. That is really going to be, that's really going to stick for all those women, because they're young. And, a 20-year-old woman is very different from that same woman 10, 15, 20 years later. We, as human beings, we change and grow. So I don't think that's going to fly for too long. But I just can't understand how he could say that he really loves somebody, but he just refuses to be monogamous. I don't understand it, and I don't think it's right. And I don't think that he should make demands of someone that he's not willing to also make of himself. And,
I agree.
And, I'd dump his ass in 20 seconds. I'd be out the door. Actually, he'd be out the door.
Yeah, there's a lot of women who will be okay with it, but I think it's a certain type of person. They care much more about the material things. But then again, back in the day, I think he has this kind of medieval view on things. He lives in Romania. He has this kind of Transylvania kind of vibe, almost like this, you know what I mean? Where back in the day, all the kings, sultans, and this is true, all the kings, sultans, and all those other, I'm sure even the oil kings.
Even the queens had multiple lovers.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, by the way. Like Cleopatra.
Yeah.
She had all these men with leaves on their covering their balls, and they were just kind of walking around in the garden. She's like, I want you today. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound terrible, but it's a little outdated though. Yeah, Sonny's leaving.
Yeah. But real quick to interject, at the end of the day, I think a large percentage of guys would like the setup of being with one woman that you love and having other women. Right. Now, at the same time, if you love a woman that you're married to, you'd want to be with her. But I think every guy at the end of the day, or a large percentage, if their wife is like, hey, I don't really mind if you go out and occasionally you're on a trip, blah, blah, blah. I think a lot of guys would probably take the opportunity if we're calling it 100.
Yep.
But again, I do hear where you're coming from. It's an interesting take. I can't see myself doing that, which is kind of tough because, being monogamous isn't always the easiest thing. And I've always been faithful in my relationships. I'm not married. I'm 28. But it's hard to think about being with one person for 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah, I think it was easier when people died when they were 25. It was right. Like, oh, I love you so much. And then you have some kids and a few years later he's dead. Oh, or she's dead. It's great. You don't really have to worry about these issues, It's great. But now we live to be 80, 80. Just imagine sitting here for 80 years staring at the same person. It's hard. It's very different. And I think as a species, we do need to adjust and maybe take onto something. But
I mean, if his relationship with his girls is completely healthy and they all have a great time, I mean, who are we to shit on that,
Sonny's pro it. Listen, I get it, man.
Like, that's the truth, because a lot of marriages end in divorce and people being completely miserable together. So if he's the one that's truly happy within his relationship, are we the ones that really call him the crazy guy?
He's actually happy about it.
No.
I think one of his things that he says how women are emotionally attached individuals and men aren't. Like, for the most part, I would agree. But I know, like, maybe it's just the way society is like built men, but a lot of men like couldn't go around and sleep with other women and just see it as exercise like Tate does. Because I think a lot of men in society nowadays are a lot more emotionally attached than men used to be, or even men should be, if that's the right word to put.
I don't think should be. I'm curious. What's your take on that?
I feel like
I think men, I can speak for myself. I am able to detach emotion from sex. I'm able to do it 100%. Some men can't. I can do it pretty easily. I'm not trying to sound like an asshole. I'm just being honest.
No, it's a fact.
And I think a lot of guys are like that too. I do think it takes, there's certain people who can, certain people who can't. But I think many more men can do it emotionless than women can. I think on average, women are much more emotionally invested. And I've experienced that. It's very hard for most women, to go and have casual encounters and not have some level of emotion, and that's why they talk about pair bonding. So have you guys heard of Rollo Tomasi?
No.
Oh, there we are.
What is pair bonding?
So it's the idea that if you've been with multiple partners, many partners, say you've been with 20, 30, 40 partners, when it comes to settling down, it might be a little bit more tough to settle down with that one person happily over a long period of time, because you've had so many different partners, so many different emotions with them, that when you do decide to settle down with, James, you have all of these other men that you've had different experiences with, whether it be physical, emotional, psychological. Whereas guys, because they're able to detach those emotions, at least a lot more so, when it does come to settling down with somebody, those emotions don't have such a strong effect on them. And I think that's true. I do believe that.
That on the surface, it has a lot of, has a lot of substance there. I agree with that. And I do think these young feminists who are, we can sleep around and we can be just like men. And, they're just fooling themselves.
And then they wonder why they're depressed and can't get a good guy.
Yeah, they're miserable. They're unhappy. They drink, themselves to oblivion. They cry and they complain. Like, oh, you're so happy now? This is what you wanted? And they completely ignore natural instincts and just the way we're wired.
Well, because they also think that all of it's a social construct. They're not willing to accept that we are built a certain way.
Yeah.
Well, these crazy liberals nowadays won't accept any gender differences. I mean, I remember growing up and they teach you that like a man and a woman, like they have no physical differences. Like you can lift the same. They don't even acknowledge that stuff anymore. It's complete nonsense nowadays.
Well, I mean, your mother can lift more than you, but that doesn't.
Yeah. She's, she's the base mom. She can lift
Yeah.
more than Tate.
Yeah, I could lift more than Tate. I'm not going to do that, though. I don't want to embarrass them.
Don't embarrass Andrew. Come on. No. He's just trying to live his life.
Take him 12 rounds in the ring, kicking him around.
I just, yeah, right. Yeah. It's just, it's really sad as a, middle-aged woman to watch these young women complaining about their lives. And I just want to go back to the, another old thing. Well, you made your bed, you got to lie in it now. You get exactly what you asked for.
And it makes it easier for us. But they don't understand, what feminists don't understand is men, if they're single, they want to get laid, and there are people who get upset by these statements too. It's like, welcome to a man's world. Doesn't mean they have to do everything that their instinct tells them to do, but we are men. Men are men. I mean, you've been around a little bit. You know how men are, right? So it's like when women are offering it on a silver platter, what do you think we're going to say? Oh, no thanks. It's like, well, if she's good looking, well, you're just making it easier for us.
Yeah.
But in turn, what also happens is that the women now are trying to kind of even the playing field, the feminists, and they're like, well, we want to have casual sex too. So what happens with that is they become a lot more selective. Even though they might be sleeping around more, they're still sleeping around with a select group compared to the overall population. So they might have 40, they might sleep with 40 men before they get married, but it's still a select group because they could go have sex with 10 men a day if they wanted to.
I like baseball players, and then they'll go sleep with the entire baseball team. I get your point.
So my point here is also that even though they are more promiscuous, there are only a select group of men who have that access. So most guys are just, and this is what Andrew always talks about, how so many men are completely lost. No woman looks in their direction. They're out of shape. They have no money. They get no women. And they're
No
just
confidence. Yeah.
ignored, no confidence, and high depression, high suicide rates. And this is what he talks about. And this is such a large, I don't know why people are so upset about this. It's crazy.
No, I don't know either why. He's just telling you to do those things, become a stronger, better man, and your life will become better. And then he gets canceled for being racist, misogynist, horrible human.
It's so true. I was watching a separate podcast today, and they pointed out something that I hadn't really noticed because I don't watch a lot of television, like regular network television. I'm a documentary person, but it really made it clear that in all modern TV, they say it's a sitcom and there's a family, the mom is always, she's got it together. She knows exactly what's going on. And the dad is always a bumbling idiot. And it wasn't always like that. And now they've deliberately done this thing with men where they're trying to dumb them down and make women seem like we're so much better. And I get disgusted by that because I don't feel that I need to step on someone's neck to make myself better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what these women are doing, and Hollywood is doing it, and it's everywhere. You don't have
Constantly.
I don't have to shit on men. I don't have to. They're great. They're awesome. They've always been good to me. The patriarchy has treated me just fine. And when they haven't, I just carry on and live my life. But the more you complain, just the more miserable you're going to be. And I really hope we have a major shift in this planet, or like I've said before, I hope that the sun just explodes and ends it, because this is not going well.
It's so funny because a big reason Tate says he won't watch like Marvel movies or really much TV is because like so much in TV and stuff nowadays, women are just like beating up men and taking control of them. And he's like, this is completely unrealistic. Like a woman is not beating up a strong man ever. This is completely, it's idiocy propaganda. He's like, I'm not even going to watch it.
Yeah, there are these, I saw a commercial for some stupid TV show, and it's like 4 women, and, you know, they're all some black ops team or whatever it was. They were just, you know, extremely hyper intelligent, rich. They were like all Tates and, you know, solving the world's problems. And I would never watch that. Who's watching that and why?
Who watched the Girls Ghostbusters? No one wants to watch that shit.
No one.
I didn't even know about that. Girls Ghostbusters?
Oh my God. Don't even.
It came out a few years ago, all female cast. Yeah, exactly. You didn't know about it. I would never watch it. It did terrible reviews, terrible box office, terrible everything. And this is, you know, and it's not to shit on women. It's that we have our place. We have our things that we're really good at. Mm-hmm. And let us shine there. Why do we have to turn into men? I don't want to be a dude.
No, why do we need women doing like men's jobs? There's men and there's women's jobs, and it's crazy that you can't even say that nowadays without getting canceled. One of Tate's takes where he said his car got broken into, stolen, and so he shows up at the scene and it's 2 woman cops, and he's like, oh well, fuck, it looks like nothing's getting done. I mean, wouldn't anyone prefer 2 men to deal with a Grand Theft Auto charge?
I wouldn't necessarily, if I felt they were competent, I wouldn't mind. You know, like I've worked with, in the Army, I've worked with some badass women for sure. Because we used to work with a dog unit, and a lot of the soldiers in the dog unit are women. They're tough chicks. At the same time, I mean, I would much prefer a guy by my side in war, just because he can carry me. I mean, there are women that can carry me. They can. But
that's not the point, is that they're women who can. We're talking about for like the most
overall
part.
Yeah, dude, I'm in full agreement with you guys. Even the driving, by the way. I'm gonna be real with you. Like when it comes down to it, I can't tell you how many girls I've been in a car with. Can you parallel park? Not so good with the parking. I get nervous. Ooh, you know.
I know.
It's dark out. Can you drive home?
Yeah, and it's
a
okay.
Glass of wine. I'm feeling toasty.
But I think it's cute. It's nice.
It's like not a bad thing at all.
Yeah,
they just make it out to be a bad thing.
Yeah, overall, women have more of a nervousness. They can be a little more neurotic, right? And I think when it comes to a stressful situation on a road where a sudden movement occurs, I think guys naturally handle it a bit, handle the under pressure things a bit better. And that's overall. Of course, there are exceptions, but that's what I would say.
But that's where men's nurturing instincts come out. They're different. So a woman, we might, you know, when you're sick, you know, sit with you and rub your head and, you know, bring you tea and try to make you feel better. Yes, matzo ball soup.
You don't want to. I don't want a guy doing that.
Well, not even that, but you know, that's
Sonny, I'm not going to judge you, bro. If that's what you're into,
yeah. You know, when he gets to Florida, he's going to call you to bring him some soup and read him a story. Yeah. But, you know, men nurture differently. They nurture by saying, I'll drive you home. Let me carry those bags. Let me, build my grandpa, my father, my mother would be like, I don't have enough closet space. He's like, I'll build you a new closet. Like that was his way of showing love and being nurturing and filling needs. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it's wonderful to take that shit away from men and say these hyper feminists who get mad when you open a door for them. You know what, bitch, fine, open your own door. Fine. You want to be that way, but like you're taking away somebody's opportunity to do something nice for you that comes intrinsically. You were trained to be a gentleman, and it's just
gospel. So
stupid. It's such a stupid sword to die on. Or is it hill to die on? A stupid hill to die on. That, you know, a man can't open a door for me.
I'm in such agreement. What's happening though is because they don't want any of those male and female roles. Now they're essentially dating themselves, you know, because they're working so hard. They want to make so much money. They're freezing their eggs. You know, they're 38, 40, 42, 44, never been married, never had kids. And they're like, I don't need a man. It's like, well, I mean, you don't. That's fine. You can get a couple of cats. It's okay.
Have fun.
You would think, and then this, you guys should check out Rolo. I'm working on having him on the podcast. I've had some guests on the podcast that he knows, so I'm working on having him on. But he wrote these books called The Rational Male.
Oh, I'm reading that right now.
There we go. That's Rolo, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So awesome books. Yeah. So when I get him on, because I'm in touch with him, I'll connect you guys if you're interested.
Oh, that would be great.
I'd like to read it. There's something I said on one of our episodes where I really think this great knowledge that's coming out for men, and I am so behind it because I have been watching for years, watching my white devil son get shit on by society. Give me a break. He was a kid, and people were telling him he's privileged and he's that he's hurting other people because he's white. Give me a break. So I wish that one of these men would come out with a companion edition of the things they're sharing with men for mothers that are really trying to fight this. And we're doing it on our own, and we're figuring it out on our own, and teaching our sons that you're awesome and you're good, and no, you're not holding anybody back just because of the color of your skin, and this is ridiculous. But to have for the women that have a harder time with it, to have some sort of a companion guide to that, so that we can raise these men from infancy, and that way when they're 20, they don't have to wait till they're 25 to be like, why am I miserable, and then run to somebody like Tate. It would be better for our society if they were walking around as little kids, and we're doing it, but we can do more.
Doing a great job. My grandmother would love you. You guys would get along so well. She's in a nursing home. She's mostly with it, but she's a little out of it after her knee replacement. She kind of got a bit of dementia, but in her 100% with it days, I mean, you guys would have a field day talking about this.
Oh my God, I wish we could get her on. So yeah, we have an episode coming out of Sonny talking to my mother, and I bet they just have the same takes.
I could probably try to work it out. I'm sure she's still with it enough where if I bring these conversations in, she can definitely get involved. But 2 years ago, oh my God, you would love it. She's got no filter. None. Zero.
Oh, that's my kind of lady.
It's these Brooklyn moms and grandmas. They don't give a shit.
She doesn't give a fuck. When I was younger, I used to go with her to work in Manhattan, and I was much younger at the time. So I wasn't as confident. I was a little kid, and I was more shy, and I was never shy, but you're younger. So we get on the train, and most older women, we're talking 60s. If they're standing on the train, they're not going to purposely ask someone to get up. They kind of just wait there nicely and they hope someone gets up. My grandmother was the type where she gave it a good 30 seconds. And if nobody got up for her, she'd be like, who's going to give me a seat?
Yes.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like she's getting it done, right? Like she's like, I'm not going to wait for someone.
And at the same time, teaching all these assholes how to treat a lady. Yes.
100%. And I always got up. She taught me to always get up for an older person. Not even older, but someone who obviously needed to sit, someone who had trouble walking, whatever it was. There were even times where if some guy was manspreading and she didn't have enough room in the seat, she'd be like, close your legs.
Close your legs.
Close your legs. And he'd look at her and she'd be like, I don't give a fuck.
Oh, I love her already.
I know, she's the best.
That's hilarious.
We'll try to make something happen. She's incredible. So yeah, guys, this has been quite an episode. Looking forward to meeting in person for sure.
We'll be down there. Yeah, we've got a place already. All our stuff's in it, but we haven't seen it yet. So we'll be down there in 5 weeks or so.
Yep.
Okay, sounds good. I mean, I'm in Miami, so if you guys are going to be in the Orlando area, we can always work something out.
I'm moving down to Miami myself in a few months once I get a more consistent revenue stream coming in.
Ah, okay. Where are you thinking in Miami? Brickell?
Yeah, Brickell or Edgewater. I have some friends there.
Cool.
Where are you in Miami?
I'm in Aventura. It's North Miami.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Heard of it?
Check that out too.
Yeah, I've heard of Aventura. My dad lived in Miami for a few years, so I'm pretty familiar with the area.
Awesome. Yeah. So Aventura is not as exciting as Brickell. It's a lot more relaxed. It's still a very nice city. It's more of a suburban kind of mix, but very Jewish. I like it. It's good. I purposely moved there so I wouldn't be too near the party. I kind of just wanted something a little more relaxed. If I want to go to the party, I can drive over, but I didn't want to be too involved in it. It's just, for me, it's distracting. But yeah, Brickell's exciting. In terms of Edgewater, man, there's a lot of nice places. Have you ever heard of Grand Paraiso?
No, is that one of the newer buildings?
Yeah, it's very nice.
I haven't heard of it. I have one Navy SEAL friend that he has like a rooftop on one of the biggest buildings there. It's unbelievable. He has a hot tub. It's like the whole outside is bigger than his whole inside. It's wild. So
wow,
that kind of is what made me want to move there. Having a cool connection like that. It was so sweet, man. So I worked on like some NFT projects with Navy SEALs and stuff in the past, and these guys are so cool. He'd let me bring like Miami girls up to his house and whatnot. So we'd just be chilling in the hot tub with them.
Your mom's wondering. Oh, come on, you know he's living his life.
Sweet.
No, I put on horse blinders when it comes to that.
I'm a little
double wrap it, Sonny.
Oh man.
Yep, hazmat suit.
Hazmat suit.
In Miami, you kind of need one of those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. On that note.
Yes. All right. Well, guys, it has been a pleasure. I mean, there's definitely more to talk about in terms of Tate, but we covered a lot of ground, and I knew we were very much in agreement just by watching your videos. You guys, you are younger than my grandmother, so don't get triggered. But your relationship reminds me of my relationship with her, because she was my mom. So, just very level-headed, strong parent, strong son. So yeah, I like you guys already. So I really enjoyed the time. I hope you guys did as well.
Yeah, it was good.
Well, we'll come see you soon.
Yeah, looking forward. Very much looking forward. Alrighty. So guys, thank you so much
Rafi.
for joining me. My pleasure. I hope you, everyone listening, got a lot out of it. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, and leave your comments. Until next time.